What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with my top 10 duo in the NBA. This is probably one of the tougher lists, if not probably the toughest list I ever made. This whole process of making all the top five lists and even the top 10 players in the world, I feel like this was the toughest, as it's a lot of duos that have improved, a lot of duos that have went further, whether it's the regular season or whether it's in the playoffs and stuff like that. And some players are better than others. Some players are so good that they outweigh other teams. And a lot of it has to do with situation and other teammates that surround them that make them look better, but they may not be the better duo. So this list is going to be all over the place. This list is going to be highly debatable, but that's the fun part of it. That's the purpose of it, and that's what I'm going to give you exactly what I think. I did switch it around a little bit. I did change it a little bit because it was just that hard to see a top 10 list. Number 10, Luca and Porzingis. Now, I didn't want to put them in the top 10 just because they continue to fail in the first round. But when you consider that they was a top 8 team in the West last year and they was a top 5 team in the West this year, and they went against a very, very good Clippers team, and that was the biggest reason why they failed. On top of that, Porzingis didn't really carry his weight throughout the entire series, if any. But Luca, 35 points per game and stuff like that, just shows you how incredible of a talent that he is, and the fact that he had them in a situation when they was up 3-2 and had a chance to close out the Clippers. Obviously, they came up short and ended up losing 2 games in a row, but it shows you how good this pairing is. And Porzingis spacing really allows Luka to do his magic, his work, and his dominance. And that's one of the keys to their success. And Porzingis is a part of that, whether he's scoring or not. His ability to bring them bigs out, allow Luka to stay in that paint and stay in that mid-range area where he does most of his damage. So I got Luka and Porzingis making 10. They should be higher. We thought they'd be higher, but that's where they're at. To me, number 9 is Jamal Murray and Jokic. When they played together, they didn't get off to the greatest start, but then they started hitting their ceiling, especially after the Aaron Gordon trade, and that was able to lock them into a top 3 seed in the Western Conference, which Jamal Murray and Jokic has been for multiple years, has been up with the upper echelon of teams in the tough Western Conference, and they have been there throughout the last couple years, and they have made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. And even without Jamal Murray, Jokic was able to win MVP, but also get out of the first round this year without having one Murray game, showing you how dominant and how great Nikola Jokic really is in the NBA and for the Denver Nuggets team and for this duo, to the point where he basically carrying himself like Luka into this top 10 because Murray missed the rest of the season. Number 8 is Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I just like Simmons a little bit more than Murray because of defense, and I feel like his versatility, being able to rebound and impact the game with pace and passing, while also having Embiid being so great defensively. Obviously, they haven't had the same success of Murray and Jokic, but we don't know what type of Murray we're going to get. But we still expect the Nuggets to be a playoff team because Jokic is as good. But this was a team that finished number 1 in the Eastern Conference and had one game, 3 minutes away from being in the conference finals, but they ultimately fell short. This one just has much more to do with Jamal Murray not being healthy than it does with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons actually being the better duo, but they most likely will be because Jamal Murray will be down. 7, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They have made it to 2 conference finals. They have been 2 All-Stars the same year, and they did make it to the playoffs with Jaylen Brown and Tatum this year. Even though they lost in the first round, Jaylen Brown did not play at all, and that factors into how they finished the season, and that also factor in how they lost in 5 games to the Brooklyn Nets, which they probably would be higher, and they also probably would have had a better series if Brown was healthy. But since he wasn't, just like a lot of other these duos, we had to drop them a little bit, but we still have to give them credit for the progress they made as players and as a duo. And when you look at the best wings in the league, you have to put this duo up there because they deserve it and they have the validation to prove it, as Tatum has been an All-NBA player and has been a multiple-time All-Star, and Jaylen Brown has got up there too. Number 6, Donovan, Mitchell, and Gobert. I really didn't know where to put them because one guy is an all-star, one guy is the defensive player of the year. They was able to get the number 1 seed in the entire NBA. They have been a constant playoff team every single year, and they have made it out of the first round multiple times with Donovan, Mitchell, and Gobert. And even though they didn't get to the conference finals just yet, they was astronomically improved last year, and they have a chance to build upon what they have done this season coming up. But they still is one of the best duos when it comes to fit and play style. One guy knows what to do on offense. The other guy knows what to do defensively, and that has been a recipe for success for multiple seasons, as they haven't even missed the playoffs in multiple seasons. And it's to do with their two guys that they have, Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. 5, I have Chris Middleton and Giannis. I feel like if you looked at this team as the champions, they should be higher. But we looking at this as a duo. And as a duo, Drew Holiday was great. He was one of the biggest reasons why they won the title and won the finals. And so was Giannis. Giannis is already a top 5, top 3 player in the world. So just alone from that, he was going to be in the top 5 duos. Chris Middleton didn't have the greatest postseason run, but he had a great run in general. Had some games where he was really bad, had some games where he played like an all-star, and had some games where he played like the third best player. But we all know that Middleton is the second best player on this team, and we all know that Drew Holiday is a close third to him. But when I look at this entire duo, this is one of the better ones, and that's why I have them 5. But if you're looking at the team success, they will be higher. When you look at them as a duo, they definitely belong here. Number 4, I got Chris Paul and Devin Booker. I really feel like this duo got to the finals. They had some help, just like the Bucks, to get there, but they was able to kill off teams. They were still able to win the series and the games that they were supposed to. And the only reason why I have this duo higher is because their trio wasn't better than the Bucks, but their duo, when it comes to both players, Chris Paul played at a high level, Devin Booker played at a high level, and ultimately the Bucks was the better team. But I feel like Chris Paul and Devin Booker was a better fit and a better duo, and they proved it throughout the playoffs, even to the point where they was up 2-0. They ultimately just fell short, and they didn't win. But when I look at the duos, I'm still going to go with CP and Devin Booker. And I was a person that picked them to win the series, but obviously things changed and guys stepped up, and Giannis was able to be huge, and that's why they fell short. But when you look at the fact that they got to the finals, they were the second best team in the entire NBA. It just shows you how well they play off of each other, how good they really are together, and why Chris Paul wanted to come back again this offseason to run it back with basically the same roster and see what happens. And we'll see, are they overrated, or are they a year too late, or was it all because of things opening up and them taking advantage of it and they couldn't cash it in, but they came close enough. Number 3 is Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. People feel like this team could have won the title if Kawhi Leonard was healthy, just because he was just that good in the series against the Mavericks, and he had a good start against the Jazz. But also, they was able to beat the Jazz without Kawhi Leonard, and on top of that, they was able to take the Suns to 6 without Kawhi Leonard playing one game in that series, showing you how dangerous this team really is and how good they really could have been if Kawhi Leonard was able to stay healthy, and would have just been able to help them be even better to the point where they should be able to beat the Suns possibly, and even probably beat the Bucks. We will never know. It's a shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it didn't exist. It didn't happen. But when you have a top 3 player in Kawhi Leonard and one of the top 2 shooting guards in the league in Paul George, you definitely have one of the best duos in the NBA. The biggest thing they're missing is winning the title, as they have been one of the best duos every single year they joined up. But they just now got to the conference finals, but they never have been to the NBA finals for whatever reason it is. They haven't got that accomplished. Number 2, the last champions, LeBron and AD. They had a huge down year with AD getting injured and being beat up and even getting injured in the playoffs and not even having a dominant season for himself. And LeBron having the MVP caliber season to start the season, didn't have a fall off because of injuries and AD going down, and just never looked at dominant or the same even in the playoffs. But they still was great player wise. They still was great as a duo when they was healthy. Possibly the best team when they was healthy, and should have even beat the Suns if they was healthy, is what people say. But that's another shoulda, woulda, coulda, and that's not what happened. And we have to judge them based on what they was able to do and what they have done this season and in the playoffs. And they are still number 2. Last year I had them number 1. This year I knock them down a little bit to number 2. And number 1 is obvious, is KD and Hardin. This duo has yet to win a title. They have made it to the finals in the past, but Hardin wasn't the same. But when you have, just like a lot of these duos, 2 top 10 players, you have a good shot of being the best duo. And with them having the best player in the league and one of the other best players in the league, Hardin was definitely an all-NBA caliber player. He was an all-star in the East, but injuries, and obviously injuries in the playoffs, really stopped this team from hitting their full potential. But with KD having the season that he had, and KD having the playoff run that he had, and Hardin having the season that he had before injuries, this is a shoulda, woulda situation too, where they should be the best duo. They should have been champions, but injuries and other circumstances stopped them from doing it and being it. So we only can go based off what we have seen when they was healthy and what they have seen when they was playing. This team was basically up 2-0 and looking like they was going to get done with the Bucks. 2 injuries to Kyrie Harden helped them slip to the Bucks. The Bucks took advantage of it and eliminated them. And also in the regular season, KD had injuries to his calf, and James Harden had injuries to his hamstring, which also hurt them in the playoffs. But when they was healthy, they was probably the best team in the East, which their record was a little bit off, but they wasn't healthy throughout the entire year. When you look at all those factors, they number 1 for now. We'll see if they'd be number 1 next year. And if they are, they'd be number 1 duo for 2 years in a row. And we'll just see if they'd be able to win the championship as a duo. Same thing for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Is the same thing for KD in Brooklyn. Y'all have the talent. Y'all have the guys y'all wanted to play with. Y'all have a good supporting cast. But you still ultimately have to get it done to be validated as the best duo. And they have another season to do it, this up and coming season. So when you have this much talent and you have these type of guys on your team, we expect championships. And we'll see if some of these duos can do that ultimately. But, until then, I'm gone. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with. Let me know your top 5 lists, your top 10 lists, what I missed, what I overrated, who I left out. Was it Jimmy Butler and Bam? Was it Dame and CJ? Whatever y'all feel like I was sleeping on, overreacting, overrated, underrated, let me know in the comment section below, because that's what makes it fun. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis signing out, and let me know what you guys feel about the list.